The Marketropolis Chronicles, a city in motion.
The city of Marketropolis was alive with the hum of opportunity and the buzz of uncertainty. Its towering skyscrapers reflected the ambitions and anxieties of its people, each building representing a sector of the vast interconnected economy. At its center stood the Federal Tower, where Jerome, the seasoned leader of the Council of Rates, faced his greatest challenge yet: taming the wild inflation beast. Jerome sat in the council chamber, his brow furrowed as he reviewed the latest reports. Inflation was proving to be a stubborn adversary. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, had ticked up to 2.7%, and the Producer Price Index, PPI, had surged to 3.0%. The council had already enacted 2 rate cuts this year, but the beast refused to retreat. Susan, the sharp-tongued representative from the Boston district, leaned forward. "Jerome, we can't keep cutting rates with inflation roaring like this. The labor market is still resilient, GDP growth is strong, and wages are rising. If we ease up now, we risk letting the beast grow stronger." Jerome sighed. "And yet, Susan, the signs of strain are there. Unemployment has ticked up to 4.2%, and initial jobless claims are rising. Housing inflation is cooling, and the real federal funds rate is already restrictive. If we don't act, we risk stalling the economy altogether." The chamber erupted in debate, voices clashing like swords in a battle of economic ideologies. Outside, the citizens of Marketropolis waited anxiously. The council's decision would ripple through every corner of the city, from the bustling markets of Oklahoma Borough to the struggling factories of South Korea's industrial district.
A tale of 2 labor markets.
Not far from the Federal Tower, the streets of Oklahoma Borough were bustling with energy. Job postings lined every storefront, and employers were offering higher wages and better benefits to attract workers. It was a boom unlike anything the borough had seen in years. In a small cafe, Clara, a local business owner, sat with her colleague. "I've had to offer signing bonuses just to keep up," she said, shaking her head. "It's a good problem to have, but it's exhausting." Meanwhile, halfway across the globe in the Seoul district, the mood was far bleaker. Factories were closing, and South Korea's job growth had hit its lowest rate in 4 years. Workers gathered outside shuttered plants, their faces heavy with uncertainty. But not every labor story was one of struggle. In the Chandigarh quarter, a remarkable turnaround was underway. Just a year ago, the urban unemployment rate had been a staggering 16%. Now, thanks to targeted government programs and private sector investments, it had been halved. Priya, who ran a solar panel manufacturing company, stood in her factory, watching the assembly line hum with activity. "We've come a long way," she said to her manager, "but we can't stop now. The world is moving toward renewable energy, and we have to lead the charge." Her words carried a truth that resonated far beyond her factory walls, one that was being echoed on Electric Avenue.
The race for electric dominance.
Electric Avenue was the beating heart of Marketropolis's green future. The EV industry was in overdrive, with companies like NIO, BYD, and Zeekr celebrating record sales. At the same time, Tesla, the long-reigning king of the road, was working to maintain its dominance despite a slight dip in performance. At the Nissan plant in Chennai district, the buzz of new beginnings filled the air. The company was hiring 600 new workers to support the launch of 5 new EV models. In the plant's break room, workers chatted excitedly about the opportunities ahead. "This isn't just a job," one worker said. "It's a chance to be part of something bigger, a cleaner, smarter future." But not everyone in Marketropolis was celebrating. Over in the tech sector, the rise of AI automation was reshaping the workforce. Companies like Intel, Tesla, and Dell had collectively let go of nearly 150,000 workers this year. The layoffs were a stark reminder of the disruptive power of AI.
AI, the double-edged sword.
In the AI Guild Hall, the mood was a mix of excitement and trepidation. While automation was displacing workers, it was also creating new industries. Nowhere was this more evident than in the biotech quarter, where companies like In Silico Medicine and Recursion were using AI to accelerate drug discovery. Emma, a young biotech entrepreneur, stood before a group of investors. With AI, we're not just developing treatments faster, we're improving the odds of success. Imagine a world where diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer are no longer death sentences. That's the future we're building. One investor leaned forward. And what about competition? Companies like Vertex and Regeneron have already seen massive returns thanks to AI-driven breakthroughs. Emma smiled. Competition drives innovation. And in this race, there's room for everyone to win. Her optimism was infectious, but the challenges facing Marketropolis weren't confined to its borders. Beyond the city's limits, the global stage was fraught with tension.
Global ripples, sanctions, and stimulus.
In the Eastern Quarter, the Dragon Empire, China, was grappling with a persistent foe, deflation. Prices had been falling for 6 straight quarters, and the emperor's advisors were scrambling to implement fiscal stimulus. Investors were optimistic but cautious, as the details of the stimulus package remained vague. Meanwhile, in the Western Quarter, the EU had just enacted its 15th sanctions package against the Shadow Fleet, a covert network of Russian oil tankers. Hungary, ever the contrarian, had tried to block the sanctions but was ultimately overruled. The sanctions aimed to weaken Russia's economic capacity to sustain its invasion of Ukraine. These geopolitical moves sent ripples through the markets, affecting everything from commodities to currencies. In the crypto alley, traders were abuzz with speculation about Bitcoin, which was hovering around $101,000.
The crypto conundrum.
In a dimly lit cafe in Crypto Alley, Mia, a young trader, was poring over charts. Bitcoin's at a crossroads, she said to her mentor, Peter, a grizzled economist. If it breaks below $101,000, it could spell trouble. But if it holds, we might see another rally. Peter scoffed. Bitcoin as a solution to national debt? Don't make me laugh. Its market cap would need to grow by 20,000% to even make a dent. It's a speculative asset, not a silver bullet. Mia shrugged. Maybe. But altcoins like Rex's Finance, RXS, and Helium, HNT, are showing promise. The market's evolving, Peter. You just have to keep up.
A renewable revolution.
Back in the renewable energy district, the future was looking brighter, literally. Projects like Oregon's Sunstone Solar Initiative were making headlines as the largest solar and energy storage project in the region. Companies like NanoRamic were raising millions to advance battery technology, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. At a construction site, workers installed solar panels under the watchful eye of their supervisor. This isn't just about energy, he said. It's about the future. A cleaner, greener Marketropolis.
Corporate turbulence in the skyline.
High above the bustling streets of Marketropolis, in the gleaming skyscraper of HP Tower, CEO Linda sat in her corner office, staring at the latest earnings report. The numbers were sobering. Revenue flat at $53.6 billion, net income down 15%, and profit margins shrinking. The company's personal systems segment had carried the bulk of the load, but rising costs were eating into profits. Linda's phone buzzed. It was her counterpart, James, from Sienna Corporation. Linda, James said, his voice tight. I hear you're feeling the squeeze too. We missed our EPS expectations and revenue dropped 8.5%. But JP Morgan just raised our price target. They're betting on our investments in managed optical fiber networks. Linda sighed. At least you have a growth narrative, James. We're forecasting only 1.8% annual growth over the next 3 years. It's hard to compete with the broader tech industry's 6.7% growth. James chuckled darkly. Well, let's hope the Fed's rate cut gives us some breathing room. Otherwise, we'll both be in for a rough quarter.
Mergers and market shifts.
Meanwhile, in the heart of the aviation district, a historic deal was being finalized. After 4 years of negotiations, Korean Air had officially merged with Asiana Airlines, creating a new aviation giant. At the signing ceremony, CEO Min Jae stood before a crowd of reporters. "This merger isn't just about survival," he declared. "It's about redefining the future of air travel in Marketropolis." Across town, in the real estate quarter, a different kind of deal was making waves. EQT had acquired Property Guru Group for $1.1 billion, leading to the company's delisting from the New York Stock Exchange. Analysts were already speculating about how the move would impact the city's housing market.
The social media buzz.
In a sleek, co-working space in Marketropolis's tech hub, Ava, a financial influencer with millions of followers, was recording her latest video. Behind her, a whiteboard was covered with stock tickers and hashtags. Ja AI stocks, Ja crypto boom, Ja Berkshire Hathaway. "All right, folks," Ava said, speaking directly into the camera. "Today, we're talking about the next big thing in AI. Everyone knows about NVIDIA, but let me tell you about companies like Marvell Technology and AMD. Marvell's revenue is up 98% year over year in the data center space, and AMD's growth in GPUs is just getting started." She paused, glancing at her notes. "And don't sleep on Berkshire Hathaway. It's not flashy, but it's a rock-solid long-term play. Remember, diversify your portfolio and always do your research."
Fiscal challenges and policy debates.
While Ava's followers debated her stock picks, the residents of Buffalo Township were grappling with a very different kind of financial issue. The township was facing a $140,000 revenue shortfall, and officials were locked in heated discussions about how to address it. "We can't keep borrowing from the future," said one council member. "We need to raise taxes." "Raise taxes?" Another shot back. "The citizens are already stretched thin. Let's cut spending instead." Similar debates were unfolding in the Region 20 Board of Education, where a $214 million budget deficit loomed over the school system. Teachers and parents packed the meeting room, demanding answers. "We need to protect our children's education," one parent said. "Find another way to balance the budget."
Regulation and reform.
Back at the Federal Tower, a new proposal was making waves: the merger of the SEC and CFTC to create a unified regulatory body for cryptocurrencies. The idea had sparked fierce debate among the council members. "This could simplify the regulatory framework and foster innovation," argued one member. "But at what cost?" countered another. "We risk losing the specialized expertise of each agency." Outside the tower, crypto traders like Mia were watching the developments closely. "If this merger happens, it could be a game changer," she told her mentor, Peter. "But the transition period could be rocky."
Currency and commodities.
In the international district, traders were closely monitoring the forex markets. The GBP-USD pair had slid toward the 1.26 level, while the EUR-USD showed bearish trends ahead of the Fed's rate decision. Meanwhile, silver prices in euros were retracing after hitting all-time highs. At the commodities exchange, Raj, a veteran trader, explained the dynamics to a group of newcomers. "Currencies and commodities move in tandem with global events," he said. "Keep an eye on central bank decisions. They'll set the tone for the next quarter."
A city in balance.
As the day drew to a close, the citizens of Marketropolis reflected on the challenges and opportunities ahead. From the bustling streets of Oklahoma Borough to the high-tech labs of the biotech quarter, from the renewable energy projects in the West to the global trade hubs in the East. The city was a tapestry of ambition, resilience, and innovation. Jerome stood on the balcony of the Federal Tower, gazing out at the skyline. The decisions made today would shape the future of Marketropolis. But he knew one thing for certain: the city would endure. The end.